Okay everyone, so today I'm bringing you the review on the Super Fighter 15 made by Wang Kwong in 1998. Now, this is the second ever made Super Fighter in the market. The first Super Fighter made was exactly like this one, but the colors were different, and that was it. This one has all of the identical features of that one, which is, again, it's only 2 years older, so it is practically considered as the first Super Fighter ever. And unlike the newer Super Fighters or Turbo Fighters you guys see, this one actually goes continuously non-stop, talking about the motor. The sounds change as the robot's position varies. For example, if he's walking, he's stomping. If he's turning to one side, he says, "I am a Super Fighter, drop it, don't move." When it switches to the other side, it shoots. The cool thing about this one is that it's practically Hap-p-kid's first robot that actually talks, because before these, the only robots made were the top robot, the robotic rangers that were, those tiny spinning robots. And then they also made the ones that walk and make a little shooting sound when they raise one of the arms, which, again, they only make shooting sounds. These are, or were the revolution, what started pretty much the Turbo Fighters. As I've said before, this is the Super Fighter 15, which was a special edition, we can call it, where the chest, the head, and the feet are made out of red plastic, and they have that radioactive coating that pretty much it's like a radioactive coating that makes it look like if it was gold, like a golden red. And then of course we have the ankles and the pretty much all of the armor, including the try me button part, which this part in another models, it actually does hold a try me button. As you guys can see, the circle pattern, they are made out of a pink chrome, which is a very neat and very unique detail of this robot. Now they made many variants of it throughout the time. The first ones were in 1996, and they mainly had a black and red or black and gold chest. Same with the armors and everything. And the first two models were this one, which was called Mar the Terrible, and Ram the Defender. According to the story that the two very first ones had, Mar the Terrible was being programmed, and suddenly a computer virus went into its program and made it evil. So pretty much what we got here is the evil robot out of both Super Fighters. The other one was programmed properly and everything, so the other one's like the good guy, this is like the bad guy, so pretty much I'm not sure about it. I think so, but when they remade them in 1998, they kind of erased those things away. So pretty much these don't have the story, but the model and the entire structure remains. So it is pretty much still Mar the Terrible, only that a bit more tutti frutti like. So as I was saying, the first ones were 1996. This is 1998, 2 years after. I can tell because the board actually says 1998. And and yeah, this was the special edition they made. They also made Ram the Defender into this pretty neat color. And as I've said before, this is the actual first robot that has a voice from Hap-p-kid, because back then there were only either the 8 electronic sounds or the rat-tat-tat that some robots had. As well, this was the first robot, or pretty much the trigger, to the robots we know right now as Turbo Fighters, or Super Fighters, or Robot Sergeant, Robot Defender. Pretty much the entire evolution on these robots goes like this. The first two were Ram the Defender and Mar the Terrible, Robot Super Fighters. Then they made these 2 years after, which were this one, which is Mar the Terrible Super Fighter 15, and Ram the Defender 15. Right after that, Ram the Defender went to be an RC robot, infrared robot called Robot Defender, while Mar the Terrible never did it to that. If I'm not wrong, they never made an actual Robot Defender that had a Mar the Terrible structure. But this one got a few extra modeling. It turned into a, I think it's called moboRobo or something like that. It got many variants as well. And as I've said before, there's many colors of these. There's ones that have blue, red, even green actually. I found a green version, believe it or not. There's orange chrome, gold chrome, silver chrome. The chest varies, everything, and even the try me button and the non-try me button versions. There's both versions as well. Which again, It's pretty annoying to have a try me button version because it does sounds almost non-stop. First it does the sounds like one time, a lot of stomping, a lot of shooting, and then it does the exact same thing, and it's really annoying. But oh well. So, the story about this one, or how I got it, I saw it in Mercado Libre last year, and the guy had two robots. It had this one, and it had a walking super robot come, which is I think it's the same size at least. It's a blue robot that walks and moves and twists the body at the same time. The thing is that my mom contacted the guy for the robot come, and we ended up saying, well, maybe we can buy both. And the guy was completely non-serious. The guy was like a complete dumb. I don't know why the guy just answered really random shit. He wanted us to contact him out of Mercado Libre, and that's not the safe way. So we ended up declining on it. Later on, the robot com got sold, but this one stayed. And at one point, like a couple of weeks ago, I tell my mom, "Hey mom, how about if we buy this robot? It's pretty neat." And my mom says, "Okay, if they can lower it down to 20, we're gonna buy it." So the guy lowers it down to 20, and literally what my mom does is she directly buys it and asks the seller to ship it. So it actually had a little delay. It took at least 5 days to get to my house. And of course, when I did, I made the unboxing and everything. It was funny because it was the day I was actually home alone. So the day when I was actually doing the unboxing, my mom was working. She left me in my home. And I was like, I don't want to go to my grandma's house, which is where I'm currently right now. I didn't really want to go or anything, so I stayed, and hell yes, I stayed. I received this guy, which had a buttload of dust. It was dirty. Thankfully, none of the main armor was lost, meaning that all of the armor was fine. It had the sword, it had the missile launcher. The only two parts that I had to add were the shield that is from a knockoff, an exact same knockoff of this, and the the missile, which came from my spare wing fighter, the one that I used to have back in 2012. Because as you guys know now, I have a bunch of spare armors and the one with the body and everything. So the robot came stuck, it came dirty, the speaker was bad, so it muffled a lot. And first of all, I unstuck the speaker, the A-tooth gear was split, I replaced it with a gummy gear so it's not going to break anymore. And I changed the speaker by a slightly flatter one, but it was a big one. Surprisingly, these old models do bring a big speaker, unlike the Turbo Fighters, which bring a slightly smaller speaker made out of plastic. These have the classic metallic and paper speaker in the head, so that's pretty much what tells you about the quality. Now, I installed it and everything. I made a video. I made the video on how to do the diagram and everything, and I cleaned up everything on it. And then I got a little lazy. I wanted to do a video, but when the words don't come out, it's not really convenient to do a video, so I did not do it. And here I am. The robot right now has fully rechargeable batteries that are recharged, and it works fine. Now, a few features that have been lost or added within the time on these Super and Turbo Fighters, especially, well, these, as I've said before, this is a Super Fighter, and it's the original one. Mainly the first feature that I can see that's in another robot is the fact that in Robot Sergeant, they added the posable arm. This one doesn't have it. At the same time, in the newer ones, they took the feature that when you lift the arm all the way up, there's two contacts inside that actually touch, and that's when the gun lights up, or the sword. In this case, it was supposed to be a gun, but I had a shield, so, yeah. It was a steal. Back with the price, it was a steal for this robot, because this robot's pretty rare. The robot itself isn't rare because you can find it in many, many colors, but this variant in particular is one of the rarest one out there. I know there's blue, I know there's one with orange chrome, which is extremely rare, in fact. There's even one with clear parts. I'm nowhere near kidding, there's one with clear parts, one with clear feet. It's definitely just a lot of variants. And the one reason why I can say as well that this is not the first one is that the first one actually had painted shoulders. Yeah, the shoulders were painted silver, while in this one, the shoulders are not painted. There were a couple of extra painted pieces which they ended up just declining the color on this one, but then again, I don't give a fuck. This is still the original Super Fighter. It's pretty much the second one in the process of decaying the robots that they have always made, Because first they made this, then they made one of the RC ones, then they made Super Fighter from 2002, which was the one that I used to have, which was red. Then they made Robot Sergeant, I think, They made Robot Sergeant. Then they made the Turbo Fighter. After that, they made another Super Fighter and another Turbo Fighter, and there you have it. That's just how much they have decayed over the years, because back then these things came with extra accessories that you would tend to lose, and they came with a big speaker and everything. They came with missile launchers, and practically the last robot that we could see that was decently finely made was Robot Sergeant and the first generation Turbo Fighter, which came with a drill gun, a shield, another gun that would actually have a light inside, and missile launchers. That was like the shit back then. If you would buy a Turbo Fighter and they would make it right now, they would not even paint the legs or anything. They would like add a lot less paint. In fact, my Super Fighter actually doesn't have paint right here, while my Robot Sergeant and this one do. And of course, it would only have a gun and a shield, and that was it. And no missile launchers, no light in the gun. It's pretty shitty. I'll say that. It's pretty shitty how they end up modifying these robots. In fact, they made a new Robot Sergeant that has no light up gun. That's a complete waste of a robot. It's made out of Turbo Fighter parts, and it's sad. Okay, I like the fact that it still has the remote, but it's nasty. So yeah, the robot uses 4 AA batteries, and 2 of them are for the sound only, not for the sound, I mean for the movement, while all 4 turn the sound on. I'll go ahead and actually open it up with the sword. Shit. Hold on. Gotta do a little strength. There we go. As I've said before, if I take this one out, like this. Shit. If I take one out, it's just going to start moving. And another thing that I like about this one is that it's one of the ones with most animation in the chest. Because the chest on the Super Fighter, on like the, not the newer Super Fighters do have a pretty vast animation. But these, nah, I'm not gonna take them out. Never mind. Well, actually, yeah, I have to. I'll pause the video and take them out. Alright, there we go. As I was saying before, there's some intermediate models that don't really have that much chest animation. By example, the Super Fighter that they made after this one, which was the first one where they actually did the programming, where the robot would actually walk and then pause. And as I've said before, actually ABL Innovation Co. beat them on that, and they made Stoneman, which was like a robot with actual programming like that. And I believe also, I'm not sure, but I believe Sun AI Toys actually did beat them as well, because they made Sentinel, and I think Sentinel was either 99, yeah, around 1999, 98, 99, so I'm pretty sure that they also beat them on that. So Sentinel and Stoneman, which are Sun AI and ABL, they beat Hap-p-kid on the pause on the motors. However, this is how it works with 2 batteries only. As you guys can see, it walks, which I'm really happy the gears are not broken in the legs. Walks, turns, and keeps on walking, just like any other robot. And as I've said before, all 4 batteries trigger the sound, which it's the classic sound that these robots have, the I am a Super Fighter, drop it, don't move, and then the pew pew pew. So I'm super happy that I actually own this particular one. There we go. And I've also made a few modifications on, oh, by the way, the sword was actually curved when I got it. I did have to like put it all straightened up again with very hot water, but it did work out, so I'm happy about that. I'm really happy that it actually did. Because what I had to do was I put it on hot water until it was like all like, you know, it was all like, it was a lot less harder than this. It was softer, and I put it straight. I straightened it up, and I directly put it into the freezer for like 5 minutes, and that was it. The sword is practically straight again. This is the shield, which thankfully it fits just fine. And as you guys can see, nothing happens there. But if I just move it up, there you have it, it lights up. So as I've said before, what the robot does is, he says, I am a Super Fighter, drop it, don't move. When it goes to this side, and when it goes to this side, he says, pew pew pew. It's a pretty neat system that it has, because it's just a relay that it hits, it stops hitting, and it hits again. So here we go.
I am a Super Fighter, drop it, don't move.
And now, I'll say this right now. I did make a modification at one point, because I've changed many speakers on it to see which one was better, and this one might have been the best one. And also the LEDs for the chest and the eyes were actually changed at one point because I was like, I'm going to make it shinier, and I put some mouse LEDs, which in fact are good, but they blind you after a while, so I took them out. But here we go.
I am the Super Fighter. Drop it. Don't move. I am the Super Fighter. Drop it. Don't move.
Now, I'll say this right now, okay? I'm sorry, but these older missile launchers were actually a bit more powerful than the ones that they made a few years back. For example, the ones that Turbo Fighters have, the ones that Super Fighters have except for these, and the one that Robot Sergeant has, yeah, they don't get to this far at all. And I know that seems like a little bit, but the other ones at least get to here, so the other ones have a really shitty spring. This one at least has a decent spring. Now, out of the, I believe there's supposed to be one. Supposed to be, let's see, how many pieces was it even supposed to have? So I think it was either 36 pieces or so. I mean, it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 15, I think, 14. Around 16 parts, I think it was, 16 pieces or so. And out of those 16 pieces or so, there's only an entire missile launcher missing, a missile missing, the original weapon missing. But again, it's pretty much complete, talking about the armor, which is something that really satisfies me a lot. Because, you know, especially with these ones, you don't find them. You don't find them in this, like, complete shape because of the fact kids just pop the shoulders out and they throw them out and that's it. I mean, then they just get lost in the bottom of a toy box, and when it gets the time to resell, they don't even know what the fuck they're talking about. Because they're like, I don't know what this robot is. We don't know what it does and anything because we're fucking retards. Yeah, bruh, that's not a fucking excuse. But anyway, I guess I'll leave it running for a little bit more. Without the shield, because the shield actually it covers up the arm, and I love the arms. I don't know why I love the arms on these things. And the fact that, as well, to add up to the great shape of this robot, the arms, the clickers, or well, the posers, still work flawlessly. That is amazing. Oh, and also the fact that the antenna was actually bent, I straightened it up a little bit. But yeah. Alright everyone, we're gonna test it out right now.
Super Fighter. Drop it. Don't move. I am the Super Fighter. Drop it. Don't move. I am the Super Fighter. Drop it. Don't move. Super Fighter, drop it. Don't move. I am the Super Fighter, drop it. Don't move.
Also, I had to mention that the actual clicker on this for the body turning, it's really, really sensitive. And yeah, I guess that's practically it. I mean, after a cleanup, after putting the sword back like it used to be and finding an extra shield, finding an extra missile, and straightening up as well the antenna, as well as, oh, there was a wheel that was actually, oh shit. See, that's why I'm saying that these things tend to have missing parts, yet this one doesn't, because they just fall apart. As well, one of the wheels, which I believe was this one, had rust, and it was like, you know, really stiff. So as soon as I unstuck it and I assembled it to see how it worked without touching anything, it sort of like, it would not walk, because that wheel was stiff. Either that or that. You got me there. No, I think it was this one. And yeah, I mean, after fixing up a bunch of things on it and making it be the best it can, after around 19 years, I think it's 19 years already. I mean, it's 1998. It's still going strong after so many years, and that's what really makes me happy. So I guess that's practically the review for today. I'm sorry if I was a little cringy on the things I've said. I don't know if I am or not. I'm gonna rewatch this video and try to improve it. But keep in mind, I am actually on a little rush right now because in 5 minutes I have to go somewhere. So yeah, thank you for watching, everyone. And I might do a video on New Year. And if I don't, Happy New Year to all of you people. And I hope. And we are planning, as I said, we're planning a meetup with Kevin on 2018 on January. So keep an eye out for that because we're gonna have a lot of things. We're gonna fix up a lot of robots and yeah, we're also gonna try reviving some of mine that are like declared dead. So yeah, we're going to see what goes on. So I'm pretty excited for that, and I really look forward to meet up Kevin or Zarua635 in person, and pretty much play with his Stone Man. Yeah, I know. I have a special. I don't know why I like the Stone Man most than any other robot. I don't know why. It's because it's a piece of stone, probably. You say it. You fucking bitch. Nah. Okay, so yeah. Thank you for watching, everyone, and I'll see you in the next video.